Yo, what is going on, Cover Room crew? Welcome back to the show. Everybody's doing good, man. Monday Night Football in the books. Unreal. Week 5 was straight up upset week. Everybody was going down that was favored, basically. Chiefs go down to those Jags. What a contest it was. But we're talking must-add players. Week number 6 on the waiver wire. It is getting skimpy, but so many injuries continue to pile up. We're starting to use the second and third string guys already in week number 6. It is absolutely crazy what is going down in the league right now. Everybody's going down, including new injuries to high-end running backs. But we got bye week trouble, not so bad this week. Minnesota Vikings, Houston Texans to deal with on the bye week. But it is bad news when we're talking running backs on who to add this week. We just saw Omarion Hampton. He went down with an ankle injury. He is gonzo for 4 weeks on the injured reserve. Terrible news. So first one on the board is a Hassan Haskins. He is priority waiver wire running back 1. If you lost to Hampton, you got to go and replace him with a Haskins. It is a desperate downgrade, but at least he should get the volume upside. First priority in this offense for these Chargers. I will not be shocked if they go look for another running back as well, whether it be via trade or somebody on the open market to give him some depth. But at least Haskins has been in the system enough to at least understand he's a Coach Harbaugh disciple from Michigan as well. So you know he's going to get first crack at the carries, 2% owned. And I mean, he's there for everybody, but the bidding is going to be massive on a Haskins to replace an Omarion Hampton. Will Shipley, number 2, because we see a Saquon Barkley's dealing with a knee injury. He's no worse for wear, looking like he's going to suit up, but that does concern me quite a bit. Did not play a lot of snaps in that, or did not get a lot of carries, I should say, in that contest versus those Denver Broncos, so that is something to keep an eye on. Will Shipley definitely would slot in as it would be a tandem in Philadelphia anyway between him and A.J. Dillon. But I do believe the PPR upside in a Will Shipley is that much better. He is like a poor man CMC, not even close to the same skill set, but it is similar likeness, which you would get out of him, hopefully in the same type of play. Will Shipley definitely is one of these guys. We got to keep tabs on a Barkley, and if that does happen, it's better to be too early than too late. If something happens to Barkley during this week's practice, Shipley would slot in and get a lot of workload. Tajay Spears, he comes back from his injury, gets a sprinkle of touches, even though the Tennessee Titans are not a good offensive club, they found a way to win. Crazy contest. That touchdown that they scored was stupid. I don't even understand how that happened, but at least Tajay Spears, he got on the field, got his, some football legs back. Still, Tony Pollard was dealing with the top-end volume of this offense, but if they lean upon this ground game, Tajay Spears should have a decent role moving forward. He is another priority running back this week. Kamani Vidal for these Chargers as well. Going to be a split backfield, like I said. Vidal's got better hands than a Hassan Haskins, so PPR upside is definitely here for Vidal. We saw a similar situation when it came to those Cardinals. They're going to use as many running backs as humanly possible. Carter, Demercado, and then Bam Knight at times as well. So Demercado would have had a good day had he not dropped the football before he crossed the end zone. So both him and Carter were very good in terms of potential top-end productivity. Carter was great, and Demercado would have been fine had he scored that touchdown. It was like a 70-yard touchdown that he dropped the ball on. So definitely Vidal at this point, he's going to be a split backfield with a Hassan Haskins as well. So I do like the pickup, 1% ownership right now. So the Chargers running backs can definitely be picked up at this point. Bidding is going to be high. Tyler Algier, again, he's one of these dudes, like Bijan still is the lead back and doesn't look any worse for wear when it comes to the volume that he's taking on right now, but they are starting to split touches with a Tyler Algier, or I should say he's getting more touches, not splitting touches with Bijan, but there still is lots of volume, man. Almost 30 points, 35% ownership right now, and he is getting those sprinkles. So deeper leagues, or if you are hurting for running backs on all these mass injuries, Tyler Algier is one that we could probably pick up at this point and utilize in matchup play, or if we are stuck with no running backs. Sean Tucker did not get as much play as I had anticipated, but I did say Rachaad White was going to take the lead role in this offense, and he did that very well for us. Going back-to-back weeks, Bucky Irving may not be back for a couple weeks as well. He was also dealing with a shoulder injury that they did not disclose along with that foot issue, so Sean Tucker and Rachaad White should still continue to be the running backs, and coming off a big performance like White had, I would want to to assume that Sean Tucker would get some more play this week when it comes to volume upside. Brashard Smith, Monday Night Football, you saw what this kid can do, man. Put the ball in his hands, kick return ability. He has got speed for days. Wide receiver converted to a running back. This guy is good stuff, man. Pick him up and put him on your bench, because if it does transpire over the next coming weeks, Kansas City's going to continue to utilize the speed on this field, as they got to get wins, as they lost to those Jags. Like I'm saying, Brashard Smith is definitely 6% owned. You can grab him, stash him on the bench, and hope for the best, because PPR upside is massive in this man. Blake Corum at this point, I mean, he's dropping passes, not looking great on the field. He's a premier handcuff nevertheless. Regardless, if something does happen to Kyron Williams, because everybody's going down, it's time to start getting your handcuffs on your bench as soon as humanly possible. Blake Corum would fit in along with a Jarquez Hunter. So first one would be a Corum, and Hunter would back him up in that sense. If something does happen to Kyron Williams, he is definitely one of these guys. You got room on your bench, go and get a Blake Corum just in case, especially if you're a Kyron Williams owner. I would go definitely get a Blake Corum at this point. Trevor Etienne didn't see much play because Rico Dwaddle was running for 200-plus yards. Now he's got a revenge game versus those Dallas Cowboys. We don't know the extent of Chuba Hubbard for this week, but I would not be shocked if they let him rest up for how good Rico did run the football. Trevor Etienne, only a watch list player for me at this point right now. He is a good one, so we'll see what happens to Chuba in that sense. If Chuba's out for any long, lengthy period of time, Trevor Etienne, I definitely would encourage picking up as well. Isaiah Davis, another watch list player for me at this point. With Braylon Allen going down, we did not see a lot of touches for him this past week, as Breece Hall was the dominating force in volume carries. He is a watch list player for me. A.J. Dillon, kind of in that watch list with potential to play if Saquon does go down as well. I do like Shipley over an A.J. Dillon. Dillon would be the TD vulture, no question, if they get into that red zone like they, but Jalen Hurts is going to be running the football anyway. I still like Shipley over Dillon, but if something happens to a Barkley, you got to look at both to replace them in that sense. And Kendre Miller, lots of rumors suggesting the Saints are shopping a lot of their stars, and Alvin Kamara's name is popping up big as well. So if you want to grab Miller at this point, just in case they do trade an Alvin Kamara, that would be definitely highly suggested at this point. I mean, trade deadline is a couple weeks away, so we still got time for a Kendre Miller. But if they do trade Alvin Kamara, my goodness, that's an RB1 right there for you for volume upside in Kendre Miller. Quarterback time, Sam Darnold. That was probably the best contest outside of the Bills-Ravens Week 1 performance. Man, oh man, Baker and Darnold put on a show. And I told y'all, man, going back to the offseason, he was one of my bigger sleeper quarterbacks. There was absolutely no reason why his ADP, the video's there, man. My receipts are all there. There was no reason why he was sliding down in ADP. Everyone doubted the fact that he could replicate it without somebody like Coach O'Connell. He's doing very well, and I told y'all this offense can be predicated upon nickel and diming, but they're doing even better than that. They're going even mid-range to 30 yards down the field, especially with Jackson and Jigba and company. They're doing very well. Integrating a Torrey Horton in this run game with a K9 is absolutely stellar right now. Charbonnet got in the mix as well with a tutty. Sam Darnold, if you're looking for quarterback play with high-end upside, Sam Darnold's still only owned in 36% of leagues. That will not happen anymore after this week. I guarantee you he will be over that 50% ownership rate. He goes up against these Jacksonville Jaguars, who are an improving defense like we saw on Monday Night Football and throughout the first 5 weeks of the regular season. Sam Darnold still for me is number one streaming quarterback still to this time. Mac Money Jones, number 2 on the board if a Brock Purdy does not suit up this week as well, and I would not be shocked the way that Mac has been playing ball. He's dealing with some ailments as well. God, they were hammering him last week as well. 6% ownership, 64% going up against these Buccaneers this week. So he's going to have to throw the football a lot in this contest as well versus Baker Mayfield. The bake show, baby. He's definitely baking. Mac Jones still very good. And in the Kyle Shanahan system, this was his boy going back to that draft class. He wanted a Mac Jones, and you're seeing how he can utilize him in the Shanny offensive system. Tua Tagovailoa, I told you he is not dead when it comes to fantasy football. When in terms of the Miami Dolphins and playing ball, I mean, it is what it is, but at least 84 points on the board. Now with no Tyreek Hill, we knew Jalen Waddle time was going to take over the wide receiver 1 target share along with Darren Waller. He had another very good contest. Even though he went to sleep in that second half, they just didn't target him really that much. Tua still is definitely viable for fantasy football in matchup play, as he still will be able to give us the 200 to 250 yards and a couple touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence, sunshine, he did very well against those those Chiefs. Maybe they are turning a corner in Jacksonville. Finally, there were still mistakes. Fumble ball on that goal line. This game could have been way out of hand if the mistakes weren't there. Lots of penalties these refs definitely missed for the Jags. So I do like what I see from Jacksonville at this point. They are moving in the right direction. They could literally be unbeaten at this point. But I'm telling y'all right now, this team is one on the rise, and it always starts with defensive play. And this defense generates a heaping of turnovers, gets Trevor Lawrence the ball back in his hands. And if they can finally figure out, I mean, even Travis Hunter had a few really nice grabs in this contest. If they can figure this out with Brian Thomas Jr., beautiful throw to him as well. Trevor Lawrence will start to ascend in a very strong direction. 81 points for him as well, coming off a big beatdown of those Kansas City Chiefs. Aaron Rodgers coming off the bye week, still viable for fantasy. 67 points, only 26% owned. So if you're struggling at quarterback, you watch the matchup play for in Aaron Rodgers. The revenge game versus Packers is coming up as well. So that's one you could definitely utilize him with. Spencer Rattler, my dude. Told y'all, man, Spencer's not a bad quarterback. The team around him just is not great, but he's battling, he's trying, he's attempting. 76 points, nothing to sneeze at for Spencer Rattler. Matchup play for him. You're going to get mistakes, you're going to get interceptions, but at least he was almost at that 20-point ability for us this week, which is good upside for a quarterback you're looking for, especially in super flex leagues. If you lost somebody like Lamar Jackson, Spencer Rattler is probably still there for you for matchup play. And then Dylan Gabriel looked good in his opening showdown over in England. Will it continue? Like I said, man, when it comes to rookie quarterbacks, there's no film, no tape, so they're going to have usually a good first one or two games, and then the tape comes, and then they start to utilize him, throw different schemes at him. So Dylan Gabriel, we'll see what he does to follow up his very good first contest, but I mean, at this point, he's definitely on the radar for fantasy football. Wide receiver time. Kendrick Bourne was absolutely looking like Randy Moss out there with Mac Money Jones. He's only 14% owned right now. Is this sustainable for the game he had last week? Likely not. As long as, if the injuries to these wide receivers continue to happen with Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk's nowhere closer to being returned. So I'm telling y'all, as long as that happens, the target share will continue to be there. But he does have a good rapport with a Mac Jones, as well as they do play on that second team offense. When Brock Purdy is healthy, Kendrick Bourne definitely has a good chemistry with a Mac Jones. 14%. Get him on at least on your bench at this point, because if injuries to Pearsall continue, we can plug and play a Kendrick Bourne. Ryan Flournoy, what I tell y'all about this guy last week? Told y'all, put this guy on your watch list. He is a good one, and he had a big-time 20-point show this past week with Dak Prescott, who is throwing lights out at this point. Still no CeeDee Lamb, and they don't need him at this point because Flournoy and George Pickens and a Jake Ferguson are carrying this offense at this point, man. Flournoy is one of these dudes, and I'm probably saying his name wrong, but I do like his game so much. He's got such steady hands, and he is a very talented route runner, and he's just scratching the surface in this league. He is definitely one. Yes, it is early. He's probably not going to replicate another 20-point show this next week, but he is definitely one. So long as CeeDee Lamb is out, he is one to covet because he is taking the third reps for the wide receivers, and Jalen Tolbert's getting locked up. Flournoy is wide open for his catches, so this guy is definitely one I'm worth, willing to take a hedge bet on and at least put him on my bench at this point, hoping it does continue. Josh Downs, are always down for Downs. He's only 46% owned at this point. Had something of a decent contest, almost 9 points, half PPR this past week. It's just they're not spreading the ball enough. But with the A.D. Mitchell issues, Alec Pierce still dealing with his injury. Josh Downs, they went back to him on more than one occasion, but it is very, minimal top-end ceiling at this point. I still like Downs as a pickup. He should not be sitting on your waiver wire at this point. Keep him on the bench, and if anything happens to a Michael Pittman, we know Josh Downs is going to see a heaping of target share come in his direction as well. They've kind of cooled off on the full end passing with Daniel Jones, Daniel Pennies, as Jonathan Taylor continues to run like a man out of hell. But I'm telling y'all, Josh Downs needs to continue to be owned on your roster. Torrey Horton, once again, and this is what I told y'all about the Seattle Seahawks team. Because of Cooper Kupp and the, lack of productivity, they're looking to have the explosive plays, and Torrey Horton continues to deliver, man. Whenever they call upon his name, he's scoring touchdowns. This kid's already got almost 40 points with such limited target share, 14% 50% owned. I know a lot of y'all, I told y'all it's going to be ebbs and flows for the first 8 weeks, and then they're going to, figure it out where Jackson Najigba is truly this guy that can get you 100 yards in the blink of an eye. They're looking for that secondary piece, and Torrey Horton is going to be this dude with a, backup plan being a Cooper Kupp. I love me some Horton. He should still be on your roster at this point. 14% is ridiculous at this point, but it is the inconsistency, which I understand why he does sit on a lot of y'all's waivers. Franklin from these Denver Broncos, it's so many mouths to feed. Mims, Franklin, Sutton, now Ingram in the mix, RJ. So you're going to see that, the consistency at least is here from 6.5 to about 8 points for a Franklin. That's a positive because at least he's getting that consistent point productivity so far through 6 weeks. Until we actually see him take on the secondary role for full bore, I don't think that's going to happen in a Sean Payton offense because he likes to mix and match his wide receivers. But at least in a pinch, if you're looking for a flex play, we can get at least 8 points. And if he scores a touchdown, we're right up to 15, 16. So it's good for Franklin to be on your roster as well. He's nearing that 50% threshold. Shepard, Sterling Shepard, he is right here, 9.4% ownership rate right now. Still with no Mike Evans. Chris Godwin still trying to get his way back, but Emeka Egbuka is the dude in this offense at this point. At least the fact Shepard in deeper leagues does possess touchdown upside because he did play with Baker back in college. They got instant chemistry as well. He's on my radar. Likewise with Thornton, he is one of these guys, like I said, target share absolutely goes down without it with an Xavier Worthy on the field, but at least they're utilizing him in proper situations. Deep balls, at least 2 to 3 a game, and then if he does catch a touchdown, that's your upside. So it is going to be bite your fingernails off, but with Patrick Mahomes and this offense, they like the speed and they utilize it. Thornton definitely is making a name for himself with these Kansas City Chiefs. Malik Washington was a big one for me last week. Absolutely busted as they went with Waddle and a Waller more often than Washington. So there's going to be a little bit of crawl for you walk in this sense. So Washington right now is a watch list, even though he is almost 50% owned at this point. Still a watch list. I would actually consider dropping him if you picked him up last week and go and get other wide receivers that I got listed here today, because I think that they will continue to utilize Waller and a Waddle more than a Malik Washington at this point. Slayton went down with an injury. That's why I got Jalen Hyatt on my list at this point. This one sucks, man. He's got a hammy injury. They play on Thursday versus those Eagles. I'd be shocked if a Slayton does suit up, which would mean a Jalen Hyatt would be the next up in this offense along with that kid Collins. I just don't like it, but if you're desperate, it is here. I've never been a huge Hyatt fan, and he didn't even really get a target in that contest or even a catch in that contest. But if Slayton, his name's evading me right now, if Slayton does not suit up in this contest, Hyatt would at least get, 4 to 6 targets this week, along with Wan'Dale Robinson. Isaiah Bond continues to be a watch list player for me. I do like what I see, and if they do get better quarterback play, they will start to utilize Bond. He's got so much talent and ability. So this guy, he's one of these watch list, but you can, if you got room, get him on your bench and a wait and see for the next couple of weeks to see if it does pan out. And then a Luke McCaffrey's starting to carve out a little bit of a role for himself without Scary Terry in the offense. It's just not overly fantasy stable right now. He's got to score touchdowns. Definitely TD dependent at this point as Debo is controlling the offense. But Luke McCaffrey is definitely turning my head, man. Tight ends, finish this thing off. National Tight End Week is coming soon, and we got a lot of good quality tight ends in this league at this point, man. A.J. Barner for the Seattle Seahawks also making a name for himself. Only 2.8% ownership. He had over 20 points this past week, and Sam Darnold is looking in his direction a lot, and this was supposed to be all the Cooper Kupp shares going to, Cooper Kupp. It's not. It's going to A.J. Barner, and this is a big-time positive. At least we have a good rotational set of tight ends that we can stream upon and hopefully become our tight end one on our teams. Excuse me. A.J. Barner is definitely one of these guys you got to target as priority tight end. Likewise with Jake Tunges, he is still continuing to put up the points, 44 points right now. Very reliable. Told y'all last week, pick him up and play him, and he did very well for us. Caught a touchdown for us as well last week. Tunges with a Mac Money Jones, absolutely stellar, as George Kittle still a couple weeks away from returning from IR, so we can at least get all the points out of this man before a Kittle does come back. Mason Taylor, what I say to you guys, going all all the way back to week number 1. You got to watch out because once they start force feeding the man, you're going to see what I'm saying about Mason Taylor, 29.5 points, and he is getting a lot more comfortable with a Justin Fields at this point. Love me some Mason Taylor, and if the Jets can finally just move this offense with more consistency, Fields is throwing the ball 300 yards a game at this point, so at least that's good for fantasy. Garbage time productivity for Mason Taylor right now is through the roof and massive. We can definitely stream him in matchup play. Theo Johnson, like I said, Jackson Dart, what's the mantra always for rookie and young quarterbacks? They will go for the safety net, the safety blanket, and that is a Theo Johnson. This kid is so damn talented, so big, and they're just got to continue to force feed this man. He will have a big-time game this week also if a Slayton does sit. So while it is, Hyatt next man up as a wide receiver, Jackson Dart will force feed a Theo Johnson versus those Eagles on Thursday Night Football. So if just keep the tabs on a Slayton if he does miss this contest. Theo would be your big-time replacement at tight end. Taysom Hill, he makes his return to the NFL. Unbelievable after that leg was so broken and twisted. He comes back. He gets you under 1 point. They try to get him involved. But again, I wasn't worried about Taysom being, a point stealer from Juwan. Juwan was his own point stealer. He didn't do anything for us this week as well. But at least Taysom Hill, he's back on the radar. They could utilize him at quarterback position as well. So there is upside once he does get his football legs back up under him. Cade Otton, I was a week early on Cade on start sit. Man, 2 weeks ago I said he should have the target share. He bummed for us. And then all of a sudden this week they start force feeding him. Baker found him quite a bit. Cade Otton is a very reliable tight end as long as he gets a target share, but I'm not necessarily, running to the wire at this point, grabbing him because of the emergence of someone like Emeka, the return of Chris Godwin, and then, Shepard playing as well as Sterling Shepard playing as well as he has with Baker Mayfield. So Otton is on the list in deeper leagues if you require tight end. There is upside here, but it is going to be very much up and down every single week. And Evan Ingram finds his way into the end zone. I'm still not trusting it at this point. Want to see a little bit more, even though he is almost 50% owned. I do not necessarily like it. He is just a watch list player for me. But there you have it. That is week number 6. Waiver wire must-add players. So many damn injuries. It's absolutely crippling our team, so we got to go. Next man up is the situation, and we got to, at least, don't throw the bank at a lot of these players, but at least get them to replace your guys, especially for Omarion Hampton owners. I feel for you. This came out of nowhere on Monday, so it was no good, but at least we got Haskins. We can at least replace him with. Hopefully the production will still be there, but nevertheless, as always, don't forget that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, who you guys picking, who you guys fade in, throw it in the comments. We can definitely talk it out, but we'll see you next time. I am out.